Okay. Welcome to GG Weekly Podcast, episode 11. I don't know if you can see the Brady Bunch style layout we got going here, but we actually have our first guests ever, and it's Technique and Jay Frosty from W Key Podcast. I, of course, am Chris the Real Darth Guy. With me, above me, is Justin Baggy Noodle Arms. How are you today, Justin?
Doing well. How are you today, Darth?
Doing great. Super excited to have W Key Podcast with us. Jay Frosty, how are you doing?
Doing pretty good. The weather's super nice out around here, so all things considering, the quarantine and everything, I have a dog, so it's nice I can still get outside, enjoy the weather. So it's nice weather. It's a lot of good things game-wise coming up too. So it's so far it's a good week.
So far, a good week. Very awesome. Technique, how are you doing, sir?
Doing grand. Just hanging in there. Playing video games when I'm supposed to be working and whatnot, so you can't beat that.
So by the way, Technique, I was looking at the background that you have right next to you there. Are those your drawings by chance?
No, I wish I could take
Damn, I was going to be like, you need to draw me some stuff?
Yeah, no. My wife found an artist who does do all that stuff. So I have these 5. All behind me here is another 10 to 15 more Marvel characters you guys can't see, but these are the ones I like the most, so I put them so the camera can see it.
Very, very cool. Very cool. So this week, it may be a dumpster fire. We don't know. This is the first time we've ever had guests. Why don't you tell us a little bit about W Key Podcast? What do you guys cover? What do you talk about typically? Stuff like that.
Yeah, we try to talk about, we say everything, gaming and streaming, but honestly, it's built around our likes and our tastes. So, but we do try to hit on a little bit of everything. Games, current games, games that have been announced, trailers, consoles, obviously, that's a big thing recently. Streaming stuff, whether it's, beef that streamers have gotten into or issues or like the DMCA, DMCA, whatever it is.
Yeah, I think you were right.
DMCA?
Yeah, DMCA stuff that's been happening on Twitch. We talked about that in our last episode. So really, just about everything. And then obviously the copious amounts of tangents.
So talking about the DMCA stuff, are both of you streamers or just one of you?
Just me.
Just
I did
you.
stream for a bit, yeah. But,
oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, probably a year, maybe about a year. If
back
that.
when we lived together in Boston. That was, 2 years ago now, because I've been up here for 2 years in Portsmouth.
Yeah. So I streamed for a little while, and then I just, things got too hectic, and I couldn't carve out.
He's a quitter.
To do it.
Oh, it can be a lot.
And then
sure.
we moved into my girlfriend and I decided to move in together, and we moved to the apartment that we're at now, and it just feasibly it didn't work out to have a space to stream, and I didn't want to be like, well, I need all the space to do this thing that I've got 10 followers on. So okay. It wasn't enough. I couldn't ask enough. I couldn't ask that of her. So I just I'll call it quits.
That makes sense.
At least with W Key, you're always moving forward.
Exactly.
He's not wrong.
The Cooch, so the Cooch in our chat, he's the king of dad jokes in a way.
I'll give him the
Love dad jokes.
So if there's ever going to be a joke based on something we say, he's going to be the one who says it. And he'll probably put it on his TikTok, by the way.
Oh,
there we go.
But anyway,
I feel like we're one of those episodes that we have to mention TikTok every show now.
I've tried it. Have you guys tried TikTok at all?
I did, but probably the wrong way. I would just cut clips of my stream and put them there just for the hell of it, but not really how you're supposed to be using it.
Did it work?
No, I don't know. People follow me and stuff like that. I'd get some decent views on it, but I just can't give up on it because I see the way other people are using it, and I'm comparing myself to them. I don't think I'm doing it right, so I'm just gonna kind of step back for a little bit.
I kind of felt the same way.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's very discoverable. Like the discoverability on TikTok is through the roof based on the hashtags and trending page. And I did it for the show for a little while. I would just take our audio clips that we tweeted for new episodes and put them on a TikTok page.
Okay.
But yeah, it's the same idea. We're getting some traction here and there. You're getting a lot of views, but not a lot of
it's not translating
return.
Not a lot of click-throughs.
Yeah, a lot of views, but not a lot of actual followers and fans. People actually following through the process to get to the end result that we wanted, which is like people
Viewers.
going to
Listen
our
to the
Twitter
podcast.
and listening, going through our social medias and stuff like that. So
Right. Yeah, actually, now that I think about that, I mean, I've seen a bunch of streamers, and I watch a lot of COD clips on there and things, but I never, ever care about the description. I just watch the clip and then swipe and keep on moving. And keep on watching
Go there
infinitely.
for a good laugh and keep on going.
some of them are really funny. I mean, there's that girl recently that's been spoofing on Tim and the squad. I forget her name, but she posts her TikTok clips to Twitter, and she pretends to be every member of the squad that Tim usually plays with, and it's pretty funny. She's pretty good at making fun of him. Yeah.
I haven't
So
seen that
speaking of
one,
Tim,
so
that's where we all met, I believe. Well, besides Darth here, that's where I met Technique, and I guess you were there as well, Frosty.
Yeah, I was. Yeah.
I only remember that I met Technique because we kind of kept in contact, but yeah, so we were standing in line to meet Tim the Tap Man at PAX East in Boston, and just kind of started talking to these guys here and kept in touch, like I said, with Technique because we both stream, and saw they were doing a podcast. We do a podcast, and hey, let's join each other, do a 4-person podcast.
Yep.
I mean, we originally started our idea with hopefully getting some other people on the show, so this is perfect. Was that 2019 or a previous year?
That was
Austin.
2018.
Oh, okay.
I have the badge. I got the badge.
I mean, I've been every year, so yeah, you'd
2018.
be better off than me.
Okay. How was Tim cool? I mean, I watch his show and everything, so he seems cool.
Wicked down to earth. Like, you would have no idea this man's like wicked famous, and he's just a chill bro. I was talking to him, and he's just so easy to talk to. He's a good dude.
100%.
That's pretty cool,
I met
'cause,
him
like-
at TwitchCon too, and he was just the same thing. He's just like, you're like, hey, how's it going? This is weird. He's like, yeah, it is. But he's,
I
like
guess
you said, down to earth, perfect. He's just like acts like a normal dude when you meet him.
Yep.
That's kind of like I would hope that if because the three of us are streamers, I would hope that if something took off and we ended up having a successful career in streaming, we would be able to be still kind of down to earth ourselves.
For sure.
I mean, because like Dr. Disrespect, based on his persona, I don't feel like he's as down to earth, but sometimes I'll see a video of him and I'll kind of think he might be. He's got this weird, like...
He does
I've
his
heard from
act, though, in real
people-
life.
Yeah, I've heard from people that, like, Guy Beam, the actual dude behind it, is like wicked down to earth and chill. Like, he's a really nice guy. I've heard people rave that he's a great dude, but he's just really good at put on that disrespectful persona.
He's the ultimate warrior of Twitch. If anyone
Dude
knows.
is like Sullivan. He acted like that too. Like he just walked around like like he was the man at TwitchCon.
Well, it's funny. Like he's a big Golden State Warriors fan, and in the finals last year or something like that, he's in the stands in his get up. It's like if you're a fan, wouldn't you go as your normal self, not Dr. Disrespect? That man is committed.
Oh man.
A guy in a wig, just a headset, glasses, watching a game. That's like, hey there, sir, how you doing?
So many people are like, what the hell is this guy?
Yeah.
I wonder what security thought, because they might they might not watch Twitch. They're basketball people
There's
or
plenty
whatever.
of
So
people who probably had no idea.
what the hell's wrong with this man? Like,
But the
on that guy.
the one kid in the stands is like, oh, it's Dr. Disrespect. I want to go sit down there.
It's like, why are you walking in with a bulletproof vest? Don't worry, I took
Hey,
the plates
Baggy.
out.
You think he gave them their spiel? Like, I'm a back-to-back. Like, you talking to me that way?
You're talking to the
Patted down,
back-to-back.
He's getting patted down. He's like, you're talking to the two-time back-to-back 1993-1994 blockbuster video game champion.
Watch out for the slick mullet and the bulletproof, whatever he
Speed.
calls his wig. Like,
Momentum.
Excuse me, sir?
yeah.
Oh man.
That's funny. He
But then
gets,
he tilts the glasses down. He's like, hey, my name's Guy. I'm just a Twitch fan. And this is for like Twitch, so
Please don't hurt me.
I'm a nice guy, I swear.
yeah.
Well, so did you guys watch the PS5 reveal last week? I'm actually pretty excited about this thing. That's why I jumped right into it. One specific game has me pretty much
go
ready to
there
buy
already,
one.
huh?
I got it. I'm thinking of it's
gotta
on my
start
screen
strong.
right here, and I'm like, man, I want Horizon 2 so bad. Now, I read some new stuff today. It's not going to be a launch game. It is going to be in 2021. So give me that special edition PS5. Give me that Horizon edition PS5, right? What are you guys excited about?
Yeah, so for me, I told myself going into this launch event to make this thing successful, either give me God of War 2 preview or Horizon 2 preview. So they gave me Horizon at the end, so I gave this reveal 2 thumbs up. And I would love to wait for a special edition PS5, but my wife is just like, we are getting the PS5 the day it drops, so I don't have a choice. I gotta get it. I gotta get it as it comes out.
And you're like,
and then rebuy.
True.
I know, yeah.
I did that with the Destiny PS4. So
I mean, if they do make one, because she's a huge Horizon fan too, so if they do come out with one, she's gonna be like, so we're gonna get this one too. I'm like, no, we can't.
it's for couch co-op. You know, you put some TVs next to each other.
I have to beat her away with a stick. Like, no, don't buy that.
Sadly, I haven't had a PlayStation since our PS2 days.
Wow. Okay.
I've been on Xbox ever since, for the most part, and I haven't played many of those games. Like, I know about them, and I've watched a ton about, you know, the Horizon Zero Dawns, the Last of Us, all the big games that have hit for PlayStation 4 in that generation. I haven't played really any of them, though, unfortunately. So you know, from an outsider's standpoint, looking in, not really having much experience with the PlayStation ecosystem in the last few years, I mean, it looked good. It looks good. I mean, the games look good, and they, you know, it's the really, you know, hopefully the deep kind of story-driven games, which, if I'm not playing multiplayer, you know, shoot 'em up games, that's what I'm looking for. So
right. Well, are you strictly Xbox?
So I was for a long time, and then I converted to PC Master Race, and so I've pretty much been PC.
I'm in the same boat.
Yeah, so I haven't really touched my Xbox much in the last 2-3 years, probably at this point. So,
well, Horizon Zero Dawn is being released on PC here this summer, so
yeah, I'm pretty excited.
You may play that game, and all of a sudden you're like, now I have to get a PS5 because I love the game so much.
I don't know about the design choice. It is bigger than the original Xbox One.
It's huge.
The size comparison charts that I saw, and
that's just some girth to it.
The original Xbox, I still have it. My Xbox One is, you know, more or less launch day Xbox One, and that thing is massive. So like having that giant tower somewhere on your desk or something, it's gonna be unruly. And it's kind of odd looking to me. I actually like the Xbox Series X, the square, you know, real clean square,
refrigerator,
sharp, like sharp lines, real minimal. Like, I kind of like that. It looks cool.
So the reason it's so big is because it's the thermals inside. It just needed that room for cooling, because I don't know if you have a PS4 Pro or even I think the normal PlayStation it's a jet engine when it's on and running at full steam. That thing is loud. So
it's always been a console issue, though, is like keeping them cool. I mean, we had Red Ring of Death from the original, like the Xbox 360, you know, stuff like that.
That happened to me once.
That happened to me. I had the red ring twice.
And turn it on.
Which is the weird, like, insulate it, make it super hot, like it melted back together or something. Like, why did that work? That doesn't make any sense. But I had 2 red rings.
That worked, and one thing I had for Dis, if Dis couldn't read, I googled a trick and it worked. No, put it in your toilet, flush it, and it, like, I don't know, suck stuff off or whatnot, and then put it in the. It's worked.
What?
3 times, I think.
I had no idea you were putting video games in the toilet.
Last year, I was
borrow any.
Last year, me and my roommate Chris were trying to play like a FIFA 10 that he's had sitting around forever on his PS4. Thing didn't work at all, like not even close. I'm like, let me try something real quick that I remember. Dropped it in the toilet, flushed it, thing booted up like that. He's like, what the hell did I just witness? I'm like, it works, dude.
Now we know how the Corona got started.
Yeah.
That sounds... That's even crazier than blowing in the consoles. Like,
I don't know. I swear on it on my life, though. It works every single time. Every single time I tried it, it's worked.
It fills all the cracks with turds and like makes it work or something. I have no idea. That's disgusting.
The toilet bowl is nice and clean. All right.
That is the weirdest. Like that. I think if I would have Googled that, and seen that, I'd be like, no, I'm not doing that one. That one's not happening.
The first time I tried it, I was trying to get something to work for a long time, and I went through a bunch of different trials and error. I'm like, all right, this is not working. I'll give this one a shot, see what happens. What's the worst that can happen? It's not working anyways, and it did.
Okay, so the Cooch, I did say he would make the jokes, and he goes, "Sounds like a shitty fix." Come on, man.
I like it. Keep
You
going.
guys need to get like a little soundboard every time it makes a joke. You hit it, it's like a ding.
That joke.
So I know you guys are really excited about Bug Snacks.
I was just gonna say, they before the show they were talking about it nonstop. We couldn't get them to stop.
Can't wait.
Just
I will
looks
be out front in a sleeping bag when that thing drops.
the next greatest game to ever.
Bug snacks.
It's so weird. Like,
I thought I was scratching my head
Watching
watching
during
it.
the whole
I was
trend,
so
like,
confused.
is this like a? I thought it was like maybe like an ad, like an intermission, like, hey, brought to you by like Bug Snacks, and it was actually gonna be like a snack, like a food, and then it kept going, and I was like, no, this is a game. This is a real game.
it's a legitimate video game.
It's
Yeah, you would
something.
think,
I don't know if it's a game.
You would think it would, like, that's the joke game that all of a sudden, like, some super aggressive sports game, like, breaks through, and it's like the ad on the Jumbotron for the sports game.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like, that card jumping
Yeah.
sports
Oh,
thing
like Rocket
game.
League,
Like,
rollerblade thing.
yeah, like, they're on rollerblades, and there's cars, and,
Yeah.
like, what?
Destruction All Stars.
Yeah,
That's what
what?
it was called.
Yeah, that rally game in Destruction All Stars.
That's weird. I didn't
Yeah.
understand that in the slightest. I'm like, what's the goal here? Like, what's the purpose of this
I mean,
game?
and also, like, yeah, the purpose of the game is also kind of creepy because, like, the things you saw had little faces, then you eat them, and then they would sprout on, like, you didn't build yourself.
Oh, you're talking about
from
Bug
them.
Snacks.
So-
Yeah.
Yeah. No,
He's still on Bug Snacks.
not
I'd say
all
he's
stars.
really into it, you know.
I'm so
I told you.
confused.
All of a sudden,
I'm so confused.
all of a sudden, he's
And
gonna
you just,
buy
like,
the PS5
build
on
up.
release, and that's gonna be the only game. He's gonna be like a
no,
Bug
Stands in
Snacks.
line
Bug
every
Snacks.
night for Bug snacks.
This is all we can play on this game.
What are
Bug
you here for,
Snacks.
man? I'm here for Bug Snacks. You
I'm
gonna
gonna platinum the shit out of that thing.
Oh man, that's such. So, any other games you guys were excited about? Justin, what's up your alley?
Yeah, last week we actually said we both picked one game. We said we'd Hope came, and yours was Horizon. They announced it. Mine was actually Little Big Planet, and we got Sackboy Adventures. So they dropped the name Little Big Planet, I guess. They had 1, 2, and 3. So now we got Sackboy Big Adventure, I think it was.
A Big Adventure. Yeah, a Big Adventure. Yeah.
So
That'll be-
I'm pretty stoked on that. It looked a little different than their old ones, but I mean it's also not Media Molecule, but still
It
should
almost.
be pretty good.
It almost looks a little more story driven. A Big Adventure suggests that it's going to be more story.
yeah.
I wonder if they're still going to have the same customization where you can basically make anything.
I think
But-
they have to. I don't think the community would freak out if that game didn't.
That's
have-
true.
I guess the PS Vita didn't have customized, like you couldn't make your own maps and you could play the story.
Okay,
I
that kind of
played
makes
through
sense
that a
for
little bit.
a mobile system.
handheld.
Well, yeah, what are you
Yeah.
gonna do? Like, that'd be a pain in the neck, I think, to make your own maps on a Vita.
Ew. Well,
But
no,
yeah,
it had
I'm
touchscine,
stoked for that game too.
right?
True.
Didn't the Vita have touch? It had touch,
The
like
back was
the back
touch, I think, as
was
well.
touch, and wasn't the?
Yeah,
I think the screen was. Man,
I
it's
can't remember.
been.
Mine stopped working, so I can't even like go check or anything.
Mm.
And I'm not buying a new one. Not worth it.
Well, luckily we
Yeah,
won't
what
have.
do they go for nowadays.
New ones? Do they still like make new PS handheld stuff anymore?
I
Or
have
they,
no
like,
idea.
do them
No,
all-
they
I don't think so. No.
Vita was end of life. I want to say it was like middle of 2019, and then all game production stopped shortly after. So it's basically dead.
Yeah.
You could still get
Yeah,
them
after
used,
that
of
much.
course, and you can still do the what do they call it? Remote play on your
yeah,
network.
yeah.
So like if you wanted to play on the couch, put your PlayStations in your office or wherever it may be, you can still do that.
Yeah.
But it's not getting any more updates. It's dead. No
RIP.
news on any handheld from Sony, but I think Nintendo's
No
kind
one
of
can
got
get rid of
the
Nintendo.
yeah.
No one
They've-
can knock off Nintendo. So
They've got it down, you know.
It's them and mobile phones at this point. If you want to go,
That's also
handheld.
true. That's also true because you can do again remote play. You can do that on like your Android or iPhone or anything like that, and you can connect a PlayStation controller to the thing. So that's actually a better experience because I've played with it. It's better, way better than the Vita was because it's still the same controller that you were used to playing with. So it's not like you have this completely different control scheme and like you have to remap the L2 and R2 buttons to something different. It's just the same game, basically, just kind of running worse. You know.
Vita, I think maybe you could use a PS3 controller. I'm not sure, or 4 or whatever.
I don't remember that. I had one for like 3
I'm
months,
not sure.
and then got rid of it because I was like, well, I might as well get rid of it while it still has some resale value because this thing's useless. You know. What do you guys think about Grand Theft Auto 5 being on yet another generation of consoles?
Just give me 6 already. I don't know.
Like,
6
why?
is based on what Rockstar said somewhat recently in the last couple months, probably. 6 is a ways out. So they released something saying it's in like very early development. I mean, they just had to deal with that whole overworking lawsuit that they had basically with Red Dead 2. They got charged.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
a lot of employees were like, it's horrible work conditions,
the crunch
overworking us.
stuff.
All the crunch laws and stuff like that. And so so they just had to deal with all of that. So yeah, I mean, I think they've got to right their ship internally from like a culture standpoint before they can really start churning out another, AAA
Massive game.
really polished game.
Yeah.
They do good work.
They do.
Technically,
I mean, you can't dispute Red Dead's, the methods that worked because Red Dead's a great game.
It
So
was amazing.
right. Well, and then look at Grand Theft Auto 5. It's been in 2 console generations and it's still always in like the top 20 in sales every month. Like they're still making money continuously with this game. So I guess it would almost be stupid of them not to take the time on Grand Theft Auto 6 and just let Grand Theft Auto 5 kind of ride it out. Yeah, it's going to go free, but the shark cards and everything, because everything in Grand Theft Auto costs so much money. Like,
Yes.
it's $1 million in Grand Theft Auto is like having $5. Like, it's you don't buy anything with that.
I just downloaded it for free to my computer because Epic had it for free. So I myself have like been replaying GTA 5 recently. So
and it's like a mix of like, it's like a mix of a shooter and an RPG, and then
driving
like
is
everything
is decent.
Everything that was good with like Skyrim with mods and stuff like that, like you can do in Grand Theft Auto as well too. So, and the RP, like the role-playing servers, like they've done a good job at reinventing themselves through the years or adding new things onto the base game, which has been pretty successful. So
the role playing keeps it relevant on Twitch too.
All
of them got into it. Yeah. So that's pretty cool.
Worse from Tim.
Speaking of Skyrim, I was shocked they didn't announce Skyrim for PlayStation 5. So
Okay.
Skyrim Special Edition ×2, like
that's been out since what, the 360, and then they added it to like every console ever until now.
Yeah.
Maybe Rockstar is trying to go for they're shooting for Nintendo's record on keeping Mario alive. They're going to be shooting for a while, but they're like, let's see how long we can sell Grand Theft Auto 5. Since everyone's bought Mario 1 like 13 times, let's see if we can get them to buy Grand Theft Auto 5 and all the content in there a bunch of different times, right? Did you guys get to play? Well, obviously, I know, Jay Frosty, you did not get to play Spider-Man on PS4. Did you, Justin? How about you, Technique?
I did, and I absolutely loved it. So I was surprised when I saw the Miles Morales trailer. I knew they're going to come out with something new, like a sequel, but I didn't think it was going to be that fast. So I
thought it was going to be Peter. Also, I thought Peter Parker was going to come back. I didn't think we were going to go Miles yet.
I love that character. That Peter they had in the game was one of the best Peters they've done, like anywhere, like on the screen or in the game. So I would love to see. Yeah, I'd like to see another game with Peter and then eventually go into Miles.
My assumption is, this is getting real comic booky. My assumption is that it's basically going to be another universe, and
it's
the Peter. Or is it taking place in the same?
It's taking place. Yeah, you meet Miles when you play the game. You meet Miles and you see him get his powers. Like something happens I can't remember, but you see him kind of like, oh, what's going on? And then I think at the end of the game you see him kind of start to climb, or he does something like, oh, well, there's Miles with his powers, and even
Okay.
I'm pretty sure it's Peter is the voice actor in the trailer. I think he's talking to Miles like it's your turn to do whatever. So
yeah, I think you're right.
It's in the same exact universe with that Peter there. So I don't know what happens to the Peter. Like, does he just retire, give up, or what?
Maybe it'll be one of those, like, every couple missions you'll have to you'll be Miles most of the time, and then every couple missions you'll go and all of a sudden you'll be Peter Parker or Spider-Man for a bit.
I mean, that'd be cool if they can kind of incorporate both of them together. I mean,
he might teach you your powers or something.
That's true.
I mean, I can't remember. I haven't played the game in a while, but I thought he did. He wanted to talk to Peter about it.
Yeah.
I can't remember if he actually did talk to him, but yeah, Peter definitely is gonna kind of be his Obi-Wan.
Yeah,
he's the Obi-Wan for Miles. That's funny.
He has infinite high ground too.
Yeah. He's got the invisibility. He's got like the shock and stuff like that too.
They even showed that off too.
It's pretty
the shocker. Yeah.
But I was I was getting a little nervous because you led me a little astray there, Matt. You had a tweet about it being an expansion and then you're like, no,
okay.
it's a standalone game.
Well,
so there was confusion
going on.
There was some confusion.
No,
I want to say it was a Sony executive that said it was an expansion, and then Insomniac themselves said, no, it's not an expansion. What are you talking about? It's a full experience. It's a full game.
I think the Sony dude didn't really know how to explain it. I read his quotes and I can see how they got kind of misconstrued, but I don't think he meant to say it that way. It's like, oh yeah, I like to think of it as a kind of expansion of the universe that we built. So he said the word expansion in the right way, I would say. But yeah, it's
when gamers hear expansion, they're like, wait, what?
Yeah.
Wait, what'd you
DLC?
say?
Do I have to what? Jeez.
But yeah, it's going to be its own standalone game when people before thought it was going to be add-on, expansion, full-blown game.
I actually, truth be told, if it was an expansion, that means we get the other Spider-Man, the entire game, on PS5. So that actually wouldn't make me angry because that's such a great game, but it was, limited by the technology that it was created on. So if they upgrade the engine, put the extra effort into it, and you get to play this Miles Morales section of the game, I don't think that would be a bad thing. I think that would be kind of good, really. It gives you more Spider-Man gameplay in the new system. And for some of the people who hadn't played the first game, now they can play through the first game plus the Miles stuff, or you could skip it and just play the Miles stuff. That'd be kind of nice.
That thought process is the exact reverse of how I feel like they're handling Cyberpunk, because they're not bringing it to the next gen. Like when Cyberpunk releases, it's going to be released on the current gen systems, and an actual true next gen release won't happen for like another couple of years. So I feel like that thought process, but just in reverse, like why wouldn't you want to bring it to the next gen? Why wouldn't? But I understand they've been developing the game for so long,
right?
Based on the technology they had at hand. But yeah, we've talked about it a little bit, but I feel that way in reverse for Cyberpunk, that they're sort of hamstringing themselves, but we'll see how it happens.
Well, do you remember Grand Theft Auto 5 did the same thing?
Yeah.
So
they've had eight releases on a zillion different consoles.
Well, so Grand Theft Auto 5, I want to say it came out about a year after the new generation of consoles, but it came out with like the first person mode and the updated graphics and stuff like that. So it was announced and shown during the release window of the new consoles, but it was like, oh, in a year you're going to get this new special version of Grand Theft Auto and it's going to be even better. So I wonder if maybe we'll see the same thing with Cyberpunk.
I think a lot of developers too probably saw diminishing returns around the PS3, PS4, Xbox 360, Xbox One, how everyone was releasing Destiny 1 for 360 and Xbox One. Everyone was releasing Call of Duty Ghosts for 360 and Xbox One. They probably saw like serious diminishing returns around that release, doing it that way, that the developers are probably like, yeah, we've been focusing on it for this console, we're just going to do it on this console and then, redo it when it comes out.
Maybe not, because like you just mentioned Destiny, they did if you bought it on 360 or PS3, you got it for the upgraded console for free. There's no expansions. They're doing the same they already announced it for the new PlayStation 5 and the Xbox.
They're calling it something different, like what the heck is the term that they're using, like automatic download, or like I can't remember, but Xbox was using it
upgrade or
exclusively, like it's automatic upgrade or like seamless download or something weird like that. That they're
But I
saying,
think
if
it's
you buy it.
only if the developer opts into it, though. So you could have some dickhead developers that don't want to opt into it, and
That's true.
Then you're left,
And you screwed.
Yeah. So
Yeah. Are you guys excited about Cyberpunk at all since we mentioned it?
I am. It looks really, really good. Yeah, I'm pretty stoked for it. I have high hopes because CD Projekt Red, obviously behind the Witcher series, and the Witcher series, those games are some of the best games you can play, especially Witcher 3, in my opinion, at least. And so I'm pretty, look what they did with Witcher 3 at the beginning of this console generation, or the current console generation that we're in. Imagine what they can do with, the same team, or, you assume the same team.
Sure.
Later on, as kind of the technology has expanded, and obviously as the development practices have grown into what the systems can actually do. Because I feel like they, as it is with any new generation, I think, the first few games to come out just don't really scratch the surface of the potential of the system, just because they're not sure how they're going to run. They're not sure, best way to code, stuff like that. So I think it's going to be worthwhile. I think it's going to be a good game.
I'm
They
kind
put
of
so much time and effort into making it that you can only assume it's a very polished game. Like when was it first announced? Wasn't it like a long time ago? Like
Last
we're making
E3?
this game.
Yeah,
Two, 3 E3s ago.
they've
been working on it for a while.
I know
the fact
so
that they delayed they delayed the release date because they want to make sure everything's fine tuned and comes out perfectly. So you gotta respect the quality they're putting into their game.
well, hopefully, right? I mean,
Well,
Yeah,
yeah.
hopefully.
CD
It could-
Projekt Red hasn't gone down the Anthem route yet. So
oh god,
so hopefully
That's so
they've gone down the EA
unfortunate.
route. So
that's so unfortunate that Anthem became the example of a bad game, because I was so excited for that game. I'm like, I can be Iron Man in a bunch of different Iron Man suits. That's going to be awesome. And then the flying really was good. The gunplay was decent, and just everything else surrounding the entire game was just
The
garbage.
flying was good on controller. It was
true.
terrible on mouse and keyboard.
That's true. That was back when I was playing on PS4 exclusively, so I didn't ever get to play it on PC. So, but there's still some of those games where I play on controller exclusively. So, Technique, are you a PC gamer as well?
I am.
Okay.
I kind of transferred what my brother did. So I'm the same way. I was an Xbox guy for a while, and then I got into streaming. I was streaming Overwatch off my Xbox, and I kind of decided I want to have better quality. So obviously better quality is you do off PC, you can have overlays and all this stuff going on. So I built a PC, did a little bit of Overwatch on PC, but then one of my good friends got me into PUBG. He got a free code for it. He's like, hey, you want to try this game out? I got a code. I was like, yeah, I'll give it a shot. And that was my first soiree into BRs, and I've been hooked
start
ever
of the
since.
addiction.
Hooked ever since.
You got any
Nice.
more of them BRs?
Got it. Nice. So
I just want to say real quick, I just Googled it, that Cyberpunk 2077 was first announced in 2012. So it's been in the works for a while.
All right.
Yeah.
oh man, that's
I had to
been
Google it because I knew it was a long time ago. I'm like, when was this?
That's forever.
That's
Yeah.
almost that's to the point where you forgot about it. It was talked about at another E3, and you're like, oh, a new game. Look at that.
Yeah.
He totally
What's
doesn't even
the new
remember.
game?
Right. So, since we're all PC gamers, I know I recently converted from PS4 exclusively over to PC in December of 2019, and I still use my controller for a lot of different style games. So just because, I prefer the mouse, and well, I actually use a gamepad thing that has a thumbstick for movement still, but I still
you
prefer
do?
the mouse for aiming. But when it comes to let's take Jedi Fallen Order for example, I cannot play that game on a mouse and keyboard. It just feels awkward and off. Is there any games
I
that any of you, do you guys use a controller ever, or are you exclusively mouse and keyboard all the time on your PC?
I'm the same boat with you. I use controller for Jedi Fallen Order because
There we go.
It recommends it too. It says, hey, you might want to plug
It does, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, if you want to. And every now and then, if the shot is feeling very off in COD, I will plug in a controller into my PC.
No.
No. hang up on him. So yeah.
Honestly,
Not often, though. Just a little bit.
I've gotten more wins on COD using my controller than my mouse and keyboard.
Really?
So, yeah, because it's a little bit of a derail. It's Jack Frags, or was it Jack Frags or Wacky Jackie, whoever it is, did a test, and even if you're using a PC but it detects the controller and all of your party members are using a controller, it puts you in a more controller predominant lobby, which generally is easier. So when I'm playing, when I get off, usually if it's like squads and Matt and I are playing with two other friends, me and Matt are usually playing on keyboard, mouse and keyboard. And then when he gets off, I go controller gang with my other two friends, and we usually get a win a night almost with it. And
So
it's weird to say because I used to play only
So
Xbox.
plug the controller in, get in the lobby, and then use the mouse and keyboard.
You can't
can't swap.
It won't let you swap. Yeah.
Yeah, you can't hot swap in the middle.
Yeah, it's locked in as soon as you dive in.
Because I remember
Bummer.
when I first picked up the controller for the first time after a long time of mouse and keyboard, I was like, how did I ever do this?
Yeah.
And it's come back. But yeah, I'm most like Fallen Order or the Assassin's Creed games like Odyssey and stuff like that. Those type of games, The Witcher 3 and stuff like that. Yeah, I'll use controller for those games just because it's
any single player
easier
game,
in my mind. It's
Yeah,
easier.
okay.
You don't need the precision. It's more comfortable. You're not like up at the screen like trying to twitch reaction time. So you're just kind of usually laying back in your chair, playing more casually. So I usually use a controller for that.
Okay. See,
I use mouse and keyboard on RPGs still.
For everything.
No, not platformers.
No.
Platformers, I'll use a controller.
Yeah,
that would be
racing
rough.
games, I'll use a controller.
You
But
don't want to
anything
steer with
else,
like your mouse? You don't want to drag steer?
No, it's terrible.
I tried doing Rocket League with mouse and keyboard, and it was at the beginning. I was like, no. I had to go back to controller.
Right,
It's
that's one of the
really
ones.
bad.
Controller. Like I said, platformers, like anything that reminds me of N64, like I'll use a controller because
Okay.
You didn't play Banjo-Kazooie with a mouse and keyboard. Like,
Yeah,
other than that, RPGs still like I don't know.
I will try most things on mouse and keyboard first, and then I'll recognize real fast. I'm like, this is just not gonna work out. So like a lot of adventure games have the lock-on mechanic where you lock onto an enemy and like you can rotate around them. In any of those games, I'm like, now the mouse is useless. Like the mouse is now I'm using keyboard and that's
Clicking.
it. Yeah, like I just left click or right click and that's all I get. But in a shooter, I always Call of Duty, I'm actually starting to get to the point where it's evening out. I play on PlayStation still when I bring over, like I go to a buddy's house for a LAN party or something, I'll just play on controller. And I'm always frustrated because I'm like, man, if I could only just aim and pinpoint accuracy and all that. But like you said, if you switch actively like you do, you probably kind of have both in your muscle memory still.
Yeah, it came back pretty quick because when I first started doing it, I would complain to Matt and I'd be like, man, why am I, I'm like, how can you actually do this? I was like, I can't hit the broadside of a barn, but it's come back.
Well,
it's a lot different when you're playing on a computer though, because the high refresh rate, the frames, the frames, everyone talks about the FPS does affect things, and then obviously the field of view is the big thing from you. That FOV is like the biggest thing.
Oh yeah.
The first time I played COD on console, it just felt so bad. I was the same way. I'm like, how did I used to play with this thing? But then when I plugged my controller into my PC, which runs it at better quality, better FPS, better refresh rate, it's like, okay, I can kind of see it now with the controller. But strictly on console, I'm like, it's kind of tough.
Yeah.
Well, you can technically plug a keyboard and mouse into a PlayStation. My son plays with a keyboard and mouse on his PlayStation, but every single time I stand over your shoulder, it's funny that we're talking about frames and kind of joking about the fact that, I want the highest frames possible. You definitely notice. Like you can, it's night and day. The difference between 120 frames and 60, I mean, it's halved, and it almost looks bad. Like even though it's a PlayStation Pro, I'm like, what the hell? This is what I used to love.
Yeah, and even
it is strange.
The textures are so much better too. I mean, there's
you
some
can see
YouTubers out
farther.
there that made their career on strictly console, and they still play console, even though they're like relatively bigger YouTubers, and they're still playing on console. And you watch their gameplay, especially for like COD, and it's like, man, like how do you play on that compared to like my settings on my PC? So
Yeah, we sound like snobs right now. PC Master Race.
We all were console players though, so like and I played my Switch today. Like you,
I
also
still
gonna
had
play
Switch,
Horizon, like whatever,
I still love my console,
but it is
but
weird.
if I'm going to pick a game and it's available on PC or console, I'm always gonna pick PC. Always.
Our PC cost what, like 4 times a console or something? Probably.
It better be better. Like, can you imagine if it was that expensive and it just looked the same? I'd be pissed.
My graphics card is the price of a console.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, that might change though. With the next generations, they're targeting 4K 120. So
we'll see.
See what if it.
I don't believe
it actually pushes that, but
they said something crazy like that for the PS4s and stuff though too. They were talking like. Because they kept saying like it can do 4K, like when the Pro K, it can do 4K, it can do 60 frames. They didn't technically not at the same time.
They didn't separate the two, right? Or the checkerboard 4K versus the true 4K, like.
Yeah, well, because the One X is scaled up 4K, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and the PS4 Pro is checkerboarded, scaled up. It's not true 4K by any means. And even the game's at 1080. Like Horizon Zero Dawn, 1080, 60. Like there were times in that game running at 1080 that it chugged along and dropped to like 30. You're like, how would this ever go up to 4K and be solid?
Yeah. In a lot of, I feel like at launch for the Xbox One, they were saying that it wasn't even true 1080. It was like 900 scaled up.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's the thing. If they can deliver on their promises and they can hit 4K 120. I don't even care about 4K because a lot of people don't have 4K monitors or the capability to run those 4K monitors at 120 FPS or 120 hertz. If they can give me 1440p at 120,
there you go.
That is, I mean, essentially better than what my computer does right now.
That drives me insane when like the PS4 Pro can't do 1440. It will only do 1080 or jump to 4K.
It's like,
you're like, well, just give me that in between resolution of 1440. Like, why can't I plug it into my computer monitor and play it at a nicer resolution? It doesn't make any sense. So hopefully I was
gonna say that's my outlook on like the new consoles is like it's great. The numbers are gonna sell it. Like you look at it and you see the huge numbers and people are gonna be like, yes, I want that. But they're not really tech savvy enough potentially to realize that their TVs or their monitors can't hit the 120 hertz to really utilize the FPS. And that's where I think like, people who know a little bit more, I think, because Xbox is supposedly, it's pretty much confirmed that they're going to have a 2K version at 120 FPS that they're going to release later after the Series X.
Okay.
And I think that one's probably going to be the better seller, I think, based on, the fact that a lot of people don't have the technology to run the 4K at high refresh rates.
Make sure you get your TVs with HDMI 2.1 or else you won't get the best they can offer.
Yeah.
And honestly, for me, based on the distance that I sit away from my monitors, 1440 looks amazing. And if I can get more frames at 1440, I'd pick that over 4K 60 or again, I still don't believe that we're going to get 4K 120 really. But
4K 60 is fine on like, a story game potentially. I'm playing Horizon and it's running at that. I'm not going to complain too bad, but it's the shooters that you really start to care about the frames and stuff.
Yeah, the competitive shooters were I agree.
Competitive esports, that's shooter based, they use 1080p monitors with just like super high refresh rates, like 240 stuff like that. They're not even using 1440 at that point. They're just.
I mean, I will say I upgraded to a 1440p monitor, but I now need to upgrade my graphics. I have a 1070, and playing COD, I can do 1440 at like 60, 70 frames top. So like I'm not getting good frames, so I dropped it down. I play in 1080p because I get over 100. So I gotta get a better graphics card so I can get that 1440p.
1080 is really not that bad, especially on a monitor. Like we said, it's small. You're sitting close. Like, it's fine.
Yeah, I agree.
But
I like the frames. So, Noodles, you have a 2080 just like I do, right?
I do, yes.
But the weird thing is that when he plays COD, he gets like crappy frame. Like what were you getting last time? 40? I think that was just an anomaly.
Well,
but
that was streaming too.
Oh, that's true. So you were getting like 40
yeah.
frames per second at 1440.
It was terrible. So it was like my first time playing on stream, so I didn't set up anything to have the correct settings to like do this, and oh yeah, it was. I basically rage quit in like 20 minutes. So
That'll happen a lot. Welcome to
Yeah.
COD.
But anyway, before we lose all the people who don't understand frames and resolutions,
Oh, right.
anybody playing any? We got new seasons of Warzone, Fortnite, Destiny, Sea of Thieves.
We got a lot of new
Dead by
content
Daylight.
recently.
Yeah,
Like a
it went
ton
from
of new
kinda dry
content.
to like here's some stuff. So yeah, what have you guys been playing? Any of the new stuff you've been trying out or?
You know
COD,
me,
Season 4 COD.
COD. Just
Warzone.
They're all just playing COD. Well, this is interesting. Tell me about it. I actually don't play, so anything cool in the new season, new map,
No.
anything? What do we got?
It's pretty underwhelming. Honestly.
It's-
Is what you got.
Yeah.
So you all just said you still play it, and it's very underwhelming. Okay, sounds good.
It sounds like last season for you on Destiny, right?
Yeah, right. Pretty much. I did try the new Fortnite season this morning. I played 2 games just to talk about it. I do still play. Like I hit season like 140, I think, last season. I don't play a ton, but it's like a game I play with one friend. So yeah, way too much water for me. I think most of the streamers are saying the same thing. I don't want to swim half my game. Fights in water are terrible.
Yeah.
There didn't seem to be a lot of boats. Like I said, I only played 2 games, and the first one I died when I landed, basically. So basically played 1 game.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was still
gonna
cool
say-
though.
Yeah, because most of the streamers I feel like would say that the seasons with the air tunnels, where you could get around the map really easy, all the mobility, those are probably the better seasons because of the ability to get around. I
They
feel
have
like
the zip lines
water-
everywhere.
Oh, do they not? Yeah.
Yeah, they have a lot of zip lines, so that helps. But
I was wondering
see-
how the water would affect mobility, because that seems to be a lot of people's
Yeah.
complaint with the game is that you don't have the mobility that you do in other BRs.
I mean, they
Right.
got the choppers, the helicopters. They've got boats. Like I said, zip lines, and you do swim faster than you run. So like
okay.
technically you can move a little quicker, but it just like I said, being in the water, you're like kind of an open target.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hate fighting in waters. Like the little bit
Yeah.
of water on the maps, I would always just like jumping out of water was always so weird. Trying to jump up and build at the same time, could not do it. So now that like the majority of the map is water, I'm like, no,
The
not touching
bottom
that.
corner is all dry, so like you could land there and hope the circle goes there, I guess. But
Like you'll find me here on dry land.
Yeah.
I'm not moving from the spot.
Yeah, isn't like
Fortnite probably
75%?
that whole thing though, like this map changes and everything, it's so cool. You know how Fortnite does it. They definitely set the bar for season changes and stuff, in my opinion.
I've always loved their in-game events and stuff like that. I always would praise them. They do such a good job.
Yeah.
I mean, they've
They-
lost their
they-
touch a
they
little
really-
bit.
Yeah, they
lately.
would always do a good job of keeping the game wicked fresh. And I, like you said, I think they stopped keeping it fresh, and that's why it's kind of on the decline. A lot of
Yeah.
people aren't playing anymore because they're not keeping it fresh as fast as they were back on like the old map.
I think they ran out of guns to like make, right? Like, I mean, they vaulted a couple as always. We got the hunting rifle back, which I love. That's like my favorite gun in the game. I think it's weaker though. I can't confirm, but
have
it
a
seems
gold-
weaker.
I think they have a new gold hunting rifle that seems pretty dope.
Okay. I only had a purple.
And they have that charged shotgun too, which I thought was pretty cool.
Oh, does that thing charge? So I shot it and thought it sucked. Maybe that's
yeah,
why.
if you hold it, yeah, it charges.
They had that new shotgun. They brought back a few other things too. I forget, but yeah, I mean, I watched the whole water event unfold kind of 2 days before the season started. So I mean, they're just really good at that, and that makes it cool. But I agree. I mean, I don't want to play on a water map either. But yeah, they set the bar for like changing a map. I mean, the map's been different how many times? I mean,
Yeah.
PUBG took like forever to have a new map. Call of Duty, I think you guys still have the original map.
We still
right?
have
I
the
mean,
original,
Well, that's the
yeah.
thing, I was hoping they would do something in season 4 to the map. You know, there was all the teasers that they were going to blow
All
the
the
dam up, or they
rumors.
were going to nuke downtown. Just because I think your biggest enemy for a BR is people who play it so often that they're comfortable with the map. They know all the ins and outs of the map, and they can just run it like in their sleep. So as a person who doesn't play it that much, going
Right.
up against those players is tough because they can just be like, oh, and there's like next thing you know they're like behind you. You're like, how the hell? And so I think it hinders the players who can't put in that much time because of the people that know the map so well. So I was hoping for some bigger changes to the map. I mean, there's still potential that like mid-season they're going to do something.
Talks of things
And
like
the stadium, we talked about it before you guys went live. Like the stadium, they're potentially going to open the stadium, but that doesn't do enough, I don't think.
Yeah.
So
It gets boring too, that same map. I mean, you're playing the same
Yeah.
mode every time. You don't want the same map all the time too.
That's one thing I like about PUBG is the fact that there are different maps. So you'll drop into completely different areas, a little bit more of variety.
they
Yeah.
play differently too. Your tactics are different on the maps.
Oh,
They-
yeah.
What, like desert, forest, like they have a few different terrain.
Snow, yeah.
Yeah. They took forever though. I mean, to be real, that first map on PUBG was there for at least a year.
Oh, yeah.
I still love that map though. That map was
It's probably the best map, but
Erangel or whatnot.
yeah.
So in a
I'm a
game
fan of
like Fortnite, would you prefer? So they've had, I think it's 3 iterations of the modified map, right? Would you prefer they
More
do it
than
like
that,
they
I
do
think,
now? Well, okay, I don't know. So however many iterations they have, would you prefer to drop in randomly to one of the iterations, or do you like the way that they're doing it now, where it's like that map's gone forever, you never get to play it again? Sorry about your luck.
I mean, it's definitely cool because there's kind of like a story, if you will, for Fortnite. Like, not
Yeah.
truly, but kind of. There's like something going on and it makes a change for everybody. But you do kind of miss, I miss landing at Tilted Towers. That was like tons of fun for me. And we don't have, I don't know where you land now. But I know that'd be a lot. I don't know how big the download is. I'm sure if they had every map in there, that thing would be huge.
I mean, Call of Duty is
Especially
like
console.
225 gigabytes, so
Yeah, but Fortnite's on your cell phone and on like the Switch. So you have to
Yeah,
think
that's
about
true.
oh
probably has a lot
yeah.
of limitations.
Oh, I didn't even think about that because Fortnite on a cell phone sounds bonkers to me. Like,
I actually don't know how that works. I'm assuming you're almost like Google Stadia and like playing on a console in Fortnite's world. I have no idea because I've tried it and it doesn't seem as bad as you'd expect. Like,
really?
It's just hard to do everything.
it's hard. Yeah, exactly.
like-
You're on a.
Hard to move and aim.
Well, you could
and
use your
build.
PS4 controller or whatever
Good,
with
yeah.
Bluetooth.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
But yeah, the game itself runs, okay, especially for a mobile phone.
I know when I saw it being played on the Switch in the house, I was like, nope, I'm never touching that because it was like 30 frames per second. And I know, again, I'm kind
handheld
of sounding like a
always
snob, and I'm like,
Yeah.
what is that?
Well, like I said, handheld mode's always worse on the Switch than the TV mode, and even that. I mean, Nintendo's not. Their goal's never to be like the best at frames or.
It's not a
or,
powerhouse. Yeah, it's you
No,
play it for the experiences.
Yeah, they don't even talk about 4K or anything. They don't care.
No,
You get easy lobbies though on the Switch playing Fortnite though.
I bet you do.
Lobbies.
I bet. Yeah. I just can't.
Interesting.
The time it would take, the time it would take at this point, or the time it did take for people to get to the level of building that they're at now, I don't have the time to put it in. So it's like I would never be
I'm so far
competitive in the
off.
game. So I just, that's why
They
I was
added a
like,
lot of bots, so that
Yeah,
helps a little bit. You
Yeah,
kind of get like
so-
easy lobbies until you get better, and I think it keeps getting like harder the better you get. So you kind of get to learn at a pace a little bit.
yeah,
Right.
But I agree with you. Like I still, like I said, I've played here and there throughout its whole life. Never like remotely competitively, just for fun. But
yeah.
and I'm not great at building, but I still get people who like they make the
Oh, yeah.
skyscraper,
Oh, yeah.
and I'm sitting there with my cube, and I'm like,
Yeah.
choo, like.
And the shooting mechanics just seem so. I mean, I know it's not anywhere. It's not supposed to be realistic or anything like that.
Blue,
It
third
just
person.
it's horrible shooting mechanics in my opinion. And so that's why I kind of always steered away from it. So
Nobody likes
Yeah.
bloom in any game, really, right? Like
I,
randomized bullet spray, like that's never fun.
yeah, here goes my attempt to shoot you. I don't know if it's gonna hit you, but let's see what happens. Roll the dice, baby.
it's gonna go
Sniper.
somewhere.
RNG shooting. Ugh.
The curvature of like snipers and stuff in that game makes sense. Like that's
Yeah.
I like.
Yeah,
But
yep.
ARs,
The
yeah, they all
snipers
feel
actually
like
pretty good.
trash.
Yeah, I mean, and I've never actually. Do you guys play Sea of Thieves? Have either of you?
I am Pyre Legend. Woohoo!
Yeah. It's one game I never picked up, and I always thought it would be cool, and it looked cool. I just never got around to. It's like one of those. It's another one of those games
It's
where I
another
feel like
Destiny
you need
problem.
friends. Yeah, you need friends who want to play it. And all our friends are pretty much COD addicts. So
My
Right.
friend who plays the most typically plays alone, and he loves
yeah.
it. I mean, you can hop in with randoms, like you can just kind of, just like any BR or anything, you can
Yeah.
fill basically.
Yeah.
I never try to sell people on Sea of Thieves, and it's not because it's not a good game. It's fantastic, but
Yeah.
it's not like a traditional game. You don't hop in and like have a ton to do or like even feel like you know what you should do. It's kind of just like, hey, you want to go sing people, do it. You want to search for treasure, do it. It's all
Okay.
cosmetics based. Like you never get better. You could put 1,000 hours in. You're better because you know how to play,
Yeah.
but nothing you've built or anything is better.
Oh, that's cool.
Your ship is never better than anybody else's, no matter how long you've played. So
Yeah. That's actually.
it makes it fair, like you said. So Fortnite, I mean, I guess it's kind of the same, but there's no mechanic that is that in depth that
Yeah.
you feel like people can just overwhelm you every time because
Mhm.
they've played since day one.
Yeah.
So stuff like that's cool. It's a great game for just like, it's my favorite to hang out with people and just like meet them. Like a lot of people, I'll be like, hey, you want to play Sea of Thieves? So we can like kind of chat or whatever. You're not stressed out. You're like sailing the seas.
Kind of
Probably
sounds
like
like a
fishing in
little.
real life.
Sounds like a little bit like Animal Crossing. You don't really do anything. You just hang out and chill with people.
Fights
Yeah,
in
I
Sea
don't
of
know what
Thieves
not.
are stressful though, because like you have like 2 hours of loot on your boat, and somebody comes up and you can tell they're better than you, and you're just like, quick, run!
Get out of here!
I'm gonna lose 2 hours of my life.
I really enjoyed watching.
It's cool.
I enjoy watching Sea of Thieves because it's like a cartoon almost that you're watching. It's like a
Yeah.
kid cartoon in a way. So like I watched you and Edge play Sea of Thieves that one night, and I was enjoying myself just watching it. But I don't know if I would be able to pick it up and play it. It's kind of one of those
Surprisingly,
games.
my most viewed streams are usually Sea of Thieves, so
Really?
I guess that's probably like a common thing that people kind of just like to chill and watch it. I know there's like a lot of partnered Sea of Thieves guys and stuff, so
Yeah.
it's
It's sort of like. Did you guys ever play Astroneer, or have you played Astroneer?
I
No.
tried it once, I didn't know what I was doing and just
Yeah.
left. So
It's sort of similar to that, where like you sort of have an end goal, but in all, you can just kind of roam and do whatever you want.
yeah.
Carve out the planet if you wanted to. Yeah, so I do like those games for like killing time and just kind of relaxing. So kind of why I always thought Sea of Thieves would be fun. I just have never gotten into it.
You need a
See,
nice vibe game with the blood boiling that COD is. You need, you need a nice vibe game to go
Yeah.
to.
Yeah, but see, losing 2 hours of loot doesn't
Yeah.
either.
Yeah.
And
That's
the
actually
problem with
ano-
Sea of Thieves is like you never end. It's it's worse than the one more game because you're like going to turn in loot, and then you get loot on your way there that has to go to a different island. So you're like,
Yeah.
oh, I gotta go turn that loot in, and then turn the other piece of loot in, and then you're on your way to turn that in. It just it can keep going all night.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's funny.
Kraken grabs your ship, and the
Release the
PvP.
Kraken.
Like,
Does someone yell that at least? Release the Kraken.
I wish. No, all of a sudden you're just in Blackwater and fighting a Kraken. So
Wait,
Nice.
I shouldn't be here.
Yeah, that's
we mentioned Nintendo. Anyone see the Pokemon stuff this morning?
yeah.
Downloaded
Snap.
to my Switch, but I have not tried it out yet. I still need to like beat the main game, which I was playing earlier. I think sure, but yeah, I'm gonna boot it up maybe tonight, definitely tomorrow, and check it out. But the expansion looks pretty sweet.
What did they add? Do you know? Like I actually own Sword and Shield, and I don't think I've put 5 minutes into either of them. So
Holy.
They just added a whole new area. It's called the Isle of Armor, and it's just a whole new area you can go to and have a new adventure. I think there's new
Yeah.
Pokemon. I'm pretty sure there's a new legendary to catch.
okay.
And I think the Isle of Armor it's not gyms. It's kind of like, I think there's kind of a gym type thing, but I think they're like dojos. You go and fight people and become the best on the island or something like that. But it's like, a mini little Pokemon game added
Yeah.
on.
Cool.
They used it to introduce more, because a lot
Regions?
of people, a lot of people's biggest complaint with I think Sword and Shield, where
Or enough
you could
Pokemon.
get emulators on your computer and basically have every Pokemon from every generation ever, and it's like, you were still using tech, the emulators were still built off like the how the Game Boy Advance did it,
Right.
and it's just like with this Switch, being more powerful, people were hoping that the game would be a little bit bigger, more in depth, more Pokemon like from all the different generations, but they really, I would say the Pokemon are kind of lackluster, the new ones. Some of them are. And then, the fact that there's not a ton from the older generations is sort of disheartening too. So I think they're taking this time to add more to it as well, which is good. And then just more content. I mean, that's the biggest thing you can ask for as a gamer.
Yeah.
More things to do.
I was mostly excited. We're getting a Pokemon Snap.
Yeah, I saw that too.
I had a little, woo, like I was ran and showed my fiance. I was like, look it. We were both screaming about it. It hasn't been around since N64. That was the only Pokemon Snap besides the arcade machine or whatever that I never actually played. But yeah, I mean, the Switch is perfect for that, right? Like it's got motion control. You can like aim an actual camera basically, and graphically it looks nicer. So I'm pretty excited about it.
I want them to follow up with a Pokemon Stadium also. That game.
Yeah.
I saw people saying that Pokemon Stadium, Pokemon Coliseum.
Yeah, those
love to get some of those back. What was that? Is Coliseum the one you actually like a top view of a person and you like had to collect Pokemon and you fought kind of like Stadium? You know what I'm talking about?
It's been a while since I played it, so I can't remember. All I know is I don't remember like the specific.
Yeah, Stadium was just like battles in 3D, like just fights. That was definitely cool too.
Give me GoldenEye. I want a GoldenEye on Switch so bad.
I don't think you can, right? Because that was made by Rare.
It was made by Rare,
which is owned by Microsoft.
Yeah.
Have any of you seen the GoldenEye 25 project?
No, I have not.
So the GoldenEye 25 project is on the 25th anniversary of the release of GoldenEye. They're going to release GoldenEye 25, which is it completely redone in Unreal Engine 4. And it looks absolutely stunning. Like it looks amazing. They're going back and redoing absolutely everything. I want to say it's GoldenEye 25 on Twitter, and they have like the whole thread of all the different assets and all the things that they're building, and we're gonna get it, and it's PC exclusive, so obviously you guys will enjoy that.
That sounds like fun. I'll have to look into that.
They do have GoldenEye Source right now, which I downloaded because I was like, oh cool, I can play GoldenEye on PC. Don't download it. It's so terrible. It's basically the exact duplication of GoldenEye on N64, but you have keyboard and mouse controls, and it just doesn't fit.
I'm gonna say, how does it translate the moving and the looking and all that? Because
so moving and looking is just like a normal first-person shooter that you would see now, and then when you aim down sights, it just brings up the red crosshair. That's it. It's not like a real aim down sights. So GoldenEye 25, they're actually you're gonna pull up the gun and look down sights, and it's gonna be the whole entire game remastered and redone completely in Unreal Engine 4. I'm very excited about that project. Take my money and give me that game.
Have it all.
Seriously, like
I had no idea about that, so thank you for turning me on to that, because that's I'm gonna be keeping track of that.
If you search GoldenEye 25 on Twitter, I'm pretty sure you'll find it. I don't know if there's like extra stuff in the name, but it looks absolutely like it should. It looks amazing. So
my concern with all those games is how slow. Like I was talking about this on a past episode, I think. Like you play old games and you just feel slow now. Like even the original Halo was remade to PC, and you can't sprint, and it just feels so slow.
Yeah.
I feel like that's gonna kind of have that same feeling. Like I love Halo, and I can barely play it on PC just because I feel so bored that I'm moving so slow.
You feel like you're a snail.
You can slide you can slide now, climb buildings, vault, like sprint, all that kind of stuff, jetpacks in games, and then you go back to like an old Halo, or like I'm sure GoldenEye will feel the same, where you couldn't even run. You just walked and aimed.
Yeah, you just and that like there was no ADS at all.
No.
Well, except for the pistol had ADS and the sniper, I believe, and that's it. Yeah. Like the battle rifle, you just
moving around like.
It was so different, like. I don't know.
I feel like you mentioned that, Justin, about the no running, because like I saw it right on Twitter the other day.
You pick up the wife from work. I'll BRB in like 5 minutes just to let you know.
Okay.
I saw a thread on Twitter about someone, complaining about not having sprint out in like Halos, and I wonder if that's something they're going to consider for Infinite, because it does. I mean, it's true. I mean, you do feel slower. I mean, it seems like you move a little bit differently, but I think obviously they build the maps with.
I was
that
gonna say
in
the
mind.
original Halo.
Yeah.
I think they did that because the maps were. I mean, they were tiny. It was like the
Yeah.
original Xbox. They could only
Yep.
do so much. So you have a small map. If you start sprinting, I mean, you're just gonna be on top of each other all the time.
Yeah.
It made the maps feel big. I mean, they had vehicles if the map really truly was big, because we had Blood Gulch and
Blood Gulch. The classic
Blood
Blood
Gulch.
Gulch.
What was the snow one? Sidewinder or Sides?
That sounds. Sidewinder sounds right, actually.
Yeah.
I feel like I made that up, but you can all tell me I'm
close,
right, and we'll just go with it.
Yeah.
But yeah, the snow one too. That one was even bigger. Those are like the only two big maps in Halo 1, and I mean they had
And they had
vehicles to
those.
get around.
They had those jump pads that would get you to the middle of the level. Like Blood
was
Gulch
it-
had the two like base areas where they capture the flags, and then it would shoot you. Was it teleport or did it shoot you?
More recent games. Halo 3 had when they remade Blood Gulch, and they called it coagulation, I think it was.
Okay.
That's when they added the jump. the
Where
jump
you would be
pads, I think.
flying through the air and like you could rocket people under you.
The original one just had the teleporters.
I don't remember the portal, but
There was like a
They
blue
were in
beam
the
in the
base.
ground or whatever.
Yeah.
You'd step into the top of the base. There was a doorway. You walk in. You just
You
appear in
get,
the middle of the
up,
map.
Oh, okay.
Either on the rocks, the side rocks, like the
Yep.
tunnels, you go there, or I think one brought you to the other base too.
Okay.
I don't think other base, but maybe.
can't remember.
But either way, yeah. I mean, there was.
That's
They were
pretty.
limited back then, and
Yeah.
that was like I said. If there was a big map, they either teleported or at least you had a vehicle. They had like the ghosts and the tank and the warthog and the two big maps. So
I think the ghosts and the tank were added in Halo 3. The Warthog was in Halo 1 though, with the machine gun on the back, if I remember
Yeah.
correctly.
And the Gauss cannon.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was so much fun. I spent so many sleepover LAN hours playing Halo.
So many.
yes,
So
Whole childhoods.
do you guys think that sometimes old games should just be left to memory? Have you ever
maybe not
experienced where,
memory, but like
or just
in
the
the past.
nostalgia, or in the past, kind of, when you go back and you play it on like an emulator or something like that? Like, I went back and I played GoldenEye on an N64 emulator, and I was like, wow, this game is kind of terrible. But like my memory, it's almost like I betrayed my memory of how great the game was because I tried it again and was like, I don't know if I like this game anymore, honestly.
Kind of like ruin all those memories of the sleepovers, like in the parties that you used to have with your friends.
Right.
yes,
By doing that, because you play. Because I actually was lucky enough to have a friend who had an N64 still,
Ooh.
with playable GoldenEye, and I did play it, and I was like, yes, GoldenEye. And then we
You're
started
like,
playing
oh, this is going to be the best night ever.
I was like, this game sucks. And I was like, no, I just ruined all the memories I had, from when I was younger playing that game with all my friends. And so, I do feel that to an extent. For the
You-
sake of keeping the nostalgia and the memory intact, you probably shouldn't go back and play them.
they just don't age well.
Yeah,
They don't,
usually that's the biggest problem.
2D
wonder-
games age better. Like you can play the original Mario,
Yeah.
and it feels like I remember because
Oh,
it's.
yeah.
It's 2D and side scrolling. There's not a whole lot lost there.
I have them on my Switch.
Yeah, and it feels
Yeah.
fine. I mean, it's not my favorite game to play anymore, but
Good time killer.
yeah,
Because that's we always talk about Matt and I always talk about Knights of the Old Republic 1. 'cause
yes,
that's
Okay.
So
Yeah.
good.
one of my all-time favorite games, if not the best game that I've probably ever played. And part of me is because I did download KOTOR 2 from Steam. I started playing it a little bit, and I have noticed that I have become a graphics snob. And so because it looks bad, the content may be exactly the same, but because it looks bad, I'm like, this game's bad. So I think, I think that has, like you said, they don't age well. And I think that's really the major part. I think all the content, the story and kind of everything is all the same, and you'd still react the same way. I think they just don't age well. They don't look as good either.
So here's another big question is because the old games don't age well because graphics sucked back in the day, we're getting to a point now where graphics are pretty darn good. Like sometimes they look photorealistic. And do you think the games of today are going to age as poorly or better? Or, I mean, I kind of feel like they're going to age better only because they're not going to look so terrible. It's not going to be like, oh wow, this is the worst experience ever because the dude's head's a square instead of being like an actual head.
Yeah.
You know?
I think it depends where gaming goes, like with VR and stuff. Like if we end up all using like realistic gun-looking controllers or something to play gun games and stuff, like obviously some of these games would have to be like reinvented a little bit. You know, we don't know where gaming's gonna go. And like I remember N64, I didn't think it'd ever get better than that. You know, back
That's
then,
true.
like when the PlayStation 1 released, we were all like, "Oh my gosh, can you see those graphics?"
When you saw the water in Wave Race 64, and you're like, that water looks real.
And now we have Sea of Thieves with like the best water I've ever seen. You know.
I think
it's kind of happening already, like Knights of the Old Republic or Mass
That's what we
Effect.
just said. Yeah.
That's how we got onto it. Yeah.
I would go back and play those in a heartbeat because I loved them and they look pretty solid. They hold up.
Well, we were saying they don't hold up, Matt.
You don't, dude. Why?
Well, so if they remaster, there's a rumor that they're remastering the original Mass Effect trilogy, which I think is going to be a lot of fun.
Fire graphics is always better, but I still think they look just fine now for a replay.
No.
I think I agree with you, Frost. I become a graphics snob where I'm like, yeah, this game's not holding its own anymore. It's kind of, I don't know. It feels different.
I think the VR is a good point, and I think so. That's like the big wild card because honestly, I'm not an engineer, but for the most part, I wouldn't say we're at the peak or the limitations of what current.
We're getting there. We have to be.
Yeah, I mean we're very close to kind of the max cores we can pump into a CPU, and like the kind of coming close to the max of what we can make with the technology we have now. So unless there's a massive shift into VR or a massive breakthrough in something like quantum computing or something like that, I feel like the processing power, we're kind of maxing almost on that, so they might not look any better than they do now. So
right.
Well, plus, like as far as like frames and stuff, as we talked earlier, I mean, we don't need more. If there's computers that run at like 240 frames or something, you don't need more than that. You're never gonna be like, oh, that game in the past is crappy because it only ran at 200 frames. Like, I don't really think we'll care. I mean, maybe
a point
mildly,
but I can't like see the difference. Also, like we can only see so much. Like there's gonna be a point where we reach our maximum our eyes can see, and you can't go past that.
Right.
And we're getting older, so then our eyes are getting worse too. So.
I know.
Right.
All this is the four of us.
In like 10 years, we're gonna think 60 frames is like the best ever.
But as far as remakes is where I give Nintendo some credit. If they do a true remake, like Link's Awakening, they remade for the Switch, and originally it was a 2D, top-down view on a Game Boy, the original Game Boy. Yep, and now it's on the Switch. It's in 3D. It's beautiful color. It plays really well. They added a little bit of new stuff to it, and it's basically the same game, but you wouldn't know it.
Yeah.
Unless you like literally play them after each other. Like I don't remember the game well enough. I feel like I'm playing a new Zelda.
Right.
That's awesome.
And I know I'm not. Like I some of it I'm like, oh yeah, I remember this thing, but it's so updated that it's a different game. So if they do that with like GoldenEye or something, I mean, they can make remakes better.
Yeah, Final Fantasy VII.
I think remakes are good. Complete remakes, even reimagining the controls a little bit. I think that's great. But literally just taking like the N64 version of GoldenEye and going and playing it right now, you're like, I don't know about this.
Replay on the Xbox One or whatever. Like I think that was the one I tried, like Perfect Dark. So I was just like, no, thank you.
Nope.
Like they didn't remake it. They just basically brought it to the new engine or whatever, like quickly, as fast as they could.
Mm-hmm. As quick as they could get you to pay for a little bit extra.
Get the money out of your
Fast can you
wallet.
get your wallet out?
Yeah, right. Do you guys
Rusty,
play a lot of
said-
VR? Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I've never tried it.
You've never tried VR?
it once.
I tried it at like PAX, but I've never I don't own any of it. None of my friends have it.
So I got an
My friend
Oculus
does own it, but
Quest.
I haven't had time.
An Oculus Quest is true, like what VR should be. because you can make a square 25 feet by 25 feet, and in like there's this game Robo Recall, you can actually walk across the street in VR. So you're in this square, and once you get to the edge, it puts a little wall up and is like warns you. But you can literally walk around in the VR world, and you're shooting things and dodging things and like actually moving because there's no cable to the Oculus Quest. Yeah. So I think
I like the Star Wars, like the
Beat Saber.
Yeah, no, not
Beat Saber.
The one where you fight. You can have swords. You throw things at people.
Yeah,
Super
it's
hot.
Well, there's a Star Wars one, which is the Vader. The Vader one. It's like a 4-part series, and it's Vader Immortal. That's what it is. That the first scene in that game, you're in VR, you're in a spaceship, and you shift it into hyperdrive. That'll change your life. It's by far my favorite Star Wars experience ever, which actually brings me to the reason I brought up VR is because they released. They announced Star Wars Squadrons, and you can play, you're in an X-Wing or a TIE fighter, and you can play in VR, and you're the pilot, and you dogfight a team of 5. So it's 5v5 dogfighting in Star Wars spaceships.
That's awesome.
Can't wait.
And before people throw up on Twitch playing that.
Just that'll be a game where you're sitting down, for sure.
Yeah.
See, my ideal idea of VR is Sword Art Online. I want to be jacked into a machine, and I want to go to a virtual world. Like, I know that's not technically like that's a
Ready Player One.
Yeah, like that's like an offshoot of VR, I guess. But that's what I want. I want.
That's what I figured.
Why is my
control something?
They have like the treadmills already that you can like run and you run in game and stuff. Like they're getting some technologies that are cool.
The 360 treadmills where you just see a dude running. Can you imagine Call of Duty Battle Royale? You'd be done after one game. You'd be...
Yeah, you would do it, yeah.
Yeah, you're gonna need a breather too.
There's a guy on Twitch who plays Destiny using one of those, and like his character will only run if he's running on the treadmill.
No,
and I watched him for a bit. It was pretty cool. There's no way I would do it, but I mean that's obviously it's an expensive system, so that's the problem. Not many people are gonna go out and buy a VR, a treadmill. I mean, we're talking, and then you need the PC or whatever to run it. We're talking like close to 10 grand, I'm sure.
Oh yeah, probably.
I would even say that's conservative.
And then how many games come out for that because it's so expensive, like that actually use all that technology to its limit?
Yeah, you're one of the 5 people that have the whole setup. Like they're not targeting you guys.
Yeah. Right. I want that's concerts and movies and stuff and sporting events in VR. I think that's pretty cool.
You can actually you can watch basketball games and a couple concerts and things like that on YouTube because there's a YouTube VR where those experiences do exist. There's not a ton of them, but they're out there, and it's really cool. Most of the time though, so like let's say someone records a 3D or not a 3D but a VR YouTube video, you can't walk around in the scene or control anything. You can just look around from the spot that they're in because they have a 360 camera system on. So you're following along with them, but you're not forced to look at whatever they're focusing on. Yeah. Kind of a thing. It's cool, but it's still it's actually kind of weird. It makes you a little dizzy because you're like, I can't control things, but I'm not moving, but I'm moving. And it's really weird feeling. It's kind of an odd mental trick where your mind just kind of goes, you shouldn't feel this movement, but you do feel the movement. So it's weird.
Yeah. Yeah. I'd like to want to watch like a VR movie, like super high res, just kind of feel like, because it's just like sort of IMAX brought to your face essentially.
Yeah. You can also watch normal movies, and then so there's like the projector screen. So it's like you're sitting in a movie theater with nobody around you, and there's a gigantic screen, and you still look around, and you can have the movie theater experience by yourself.
It's cool.
It's kind of interesting.
Yeah.
Smell of popcorn just out of nowhere,
Sticky seats.
Why are my feet sticking to the ground?
I can't pick my foot up. What's going on?
Broke the 4th dimension.
Movie theater without people, chomping in my ear. That sounds like my kind of movie theater.
That sounds like the movie theaters we're gonna have after they open again because of all the COVID stuff going on.
Yeah, a lot of movie theaters are closing.
AMC's not sure that they're gonna rebound. They're
Yeah.
they're pretty sure they're gonna have to file for bankruptcy, and they're gonna close.
Well, AMC also called out Universal and said they'll never show another one of their movies because during the pandemic, Universal released a bunch of their movies that were supposed to go to AMC straight to streaming. And AMC's like, oh, we had a contract. We're going to ban you forever. And Universal's like, okay, we made more money anyways.
I mean, the streaming on demand is, that's the way everything's kind of
It's
going.
future.
Yeah.
A brand new movie, day one, in your living room. I'm in.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, it's a lot of people.
Possible, so sign me up.
Yeah, a lot of people were complaining that it's expensive, and I was like, to go to the movie theater, because my family of 4 to go to the movie theaters, it's like $120 with snacks, all the tickets, everything all together. I'm like, for
That's like
a movie for
$40
$20
just for tickets, right? Like,
yeah.
AMC tickets, if you go to like their real 3D show or whatever, it's like $25 a ticket maybe.
Yeah.
yeah, but are you watching that version at home? Like whatever.
No, you're watching
but
like
You got a 4K potentially 4K version.
Hey, 4K, yeah.
It's still pretty good, but yeah, I mean, for me, I'm a fat ass and I like to eat a lot of snacks, so yeah, it's like $100 just for like.
Well, we got spoiled.
my
Like,
girlfriend to go.
where we're
Cargo
from.
pants, come on.
Yeah, we're from the movie theater up north in our hometown. It's like $8 to get in, and then like $5 for a large popcorn, like $2 for a large drink. It's so cheap that I moved down to Boston with my brother for a little bit, and it's like $20 for a large popcorn, $15 for a drink. I'm like, what is going on here?
yeah, it's
Wait, I only ordered one. You know that, right? And they're like, yeah, it's still $40. And I was like,
they're like,
Yeah.
if you would like 2, the package deal's $45. You're like, wait, what?
yeah.
Yeah,
For
it's
that price,
expensive.
you can literally own the movie. Like the movie
Yeah.
costs $25 to buy. You might as well just own the thing.
Yeah, it's
And I mean, a lot of the rentals are going to be like $20, and it's like that's, still cost less than 2 tickets essentially.
yeah.
Most.
When the Trolls
Redbox,
movie came out,
$2.
Trolls came out direct to streaming, and it was $19.99 to get it day one.
Yeah,
So-
Sonic was the same thing.
For-
So.
$20, you get it day one. You watch it at home, and yeah, sure, you don't
And
get the
you have
movie theater
50 people
experience.
Watch it at your
Yeah.
house if you want,
Yeah,
for $20.
do
It's
a watch party with your friends. Same
Split
idea.
the price.
Yeah.
Yeah. so.
Make snacks. Make your
Right.
your own snacks. That's pretty. Yeah, it's
I think the
yeah, I
movie
mean,
and
well,
the
so
theaters are going to change a lot here real soon.
and that's kind of an interesting sort of segue, somewhat to a question. How do you guys feel about the all digital version of the PS5?
Oh, I'd buy
Oh,
that
Do you
all
think
day.
that's a good? Do you think that's a good route to go?
It depends
Yeah.
on the price. The price
Yeah.
difference. Just because like I'm a kind of collector, so I'll buy like collector's editions of games and stuff. So like unless it comes with the digital too,
Yeah.
I'll be a little, I don't know what they're gonna do. I feel like every game, if they do that, it's gonna have to have a digital code.
Well, I think
Yeah.
it would be like your collector's edition of Destiny doesn't come with a disc of Destiny. You just get all the collector's
If you buy
stuff.
the PS4 or Xbox One version, they come with a disc. If you buy
Right.
the PC version, it's a code.
Right.
So,
I just feel that it's going,
think.
it's going to rake gamers over the coals because you go onto Xbox Store or the PlayStation Network. Some of those old games, you're still paying $20 a pop for them when you could go get used versions.
sometimes still $60.
Yeah, and you can
Yeah.
get used physical copies for like
The one
$4.
positive GameStop is you can go pick up a used copy
Yeah.
instead of having to
So
buy
I
it
think-
for $20 on the store.
Sure,
That's
sure,
going
sure.
to shift kind of the price, the price structure. It might bite some people in the butt. I think is
Yeah.
kind of my take on it. It's a cool idea. I mean, I think it's most of the games I've bought recently for my console have been all digital. So
Yeah, I haven't bought
PC is
one
always
piece.
digital.
yeah,
I have about one PS4 game on disc. Everything's digital. I haven't even put any discs in my drive at any point.
pristine.
Yeah,
I
it's
still buy
brand
all the
new.
discs.
I don't even
Something
know if
about
it
having
works.
like a bookshelf with discs
Yeah.
in it. It like just looks so nice to me.
Okay.
My wife
I
likes to
don't
get
have
collector's
a
edition
bookshelf to
stuff, too.
put discs on.
Just have a pile of them.
It just takes up space. Yeah.
The pile
Yeah.
of CDs and the cases are never found.
I was like, it's always you always open it up. You're like, I feel like playing this game. Pop it open, and it's not that game.
Never the right
it's supposed
one.
to be in the case. You're like, oh, where did I put that last time?
That's
And you have to go through
yeah.
all your discs just to find. Because I was always that type of gamer. I would always be like, oh, I'm taking COD out, and I'd put it in like my Dragon Age Origins case, and I'd put Dragon Age in, and
Right.
Origins would go back on the shelf somewhere.
At the backtrack
Okay.
what games you played so we can follow the trail.
Yeah,
Because they're like,
exactly.
oh, here it is.
I'm not what they'd
Luckily, I
call an
didn't do that.
organized person.
No, I would not be able to do that either.
Yeah.
One benefit of digital though is that you can play. So, like my son, his is marked as my primary system, so I buy the game one time, and then I can play it on both of our systems rather than obviously the physical version. You have to have the disc in there. So that's
Yeah, that's a
primarily
good idea.
why that I've always done digital with PS4, just because of that benefit.
That makes
But,
sense. Yeah,
But yeah, I don't.
they could change that, and we'll see.
Well, I want them to go to a better family account system where it's more like iPhone, where any app
Yep.
that I buy can be on anyone within my family that I've registered under my account. That would be the
Yeah,
optimal
PlayStation
system.
charged you monthly like $10 or part of their online plan. To,
Oh, I'd
to
pay
do
a
that.
family plan to have
Yeah.
as many systems as I have registered as my family. I would do that
Right,
for
even if
sure.
They had to be on the same Wi-Fi network or something. Like, who cares?
Same
do it easily.
same
Yeah.
WAN address and all that stuff. I'd be fine with that. That'd be great. I don't
Hopefully
know.
they do. I mean,
just
Xbox,
want
I think, will do it before
Oh, of course.
PlayStation. Because Xbox is going the whole. I mean, I know they're making a new console, but they just keep talking about how they care more about what the games on demand services and stuff, like, more than they care about their console.
Almost, yeah.
Games Pass kind of saved them, honestly.
That's what I mean. Yeah.
It's a good
I
service.
love the Game Pass.
the One X and Games Pass saved Xbox from oblivion this generation because they were not doing good.
Well, and then
No.
I can play Xbox games on my PC for the most part.
Yeah,
so
that's why I
Game
love it.
Pass,
Yep.
I don't have to have an Xbox
great.
to play Halo or Gears.
Yep.
Like, we're fine.
Sea of Thieves.
Sea of Thieves, yeah, another one. You know?
You guys mentioned Knights of the Old Republic being one of your favorites. If you haven't already, The Outer Worlds is on Game Pass, and it is
playing that
basically the
right
same
now.
game, and not it's not
Not Star Wars, but-
Yeah.
it feels like the same type of game. I loved it. I considered it my game of the year last year, and I'm not an RPG guy. Like, it's just, it felt
Yeah,
like Knights of the Old
yeah.
Republic. So
I heard a lot
Nice.
of good things about it.
yeah,
My wife bought for me for Christmas. Like, it wasn't a game. Like, I would see the commercials, but oh, it looks like a nice game. I never like actively went out to search for it, and she bought for me. I've been playing it, still playing it right now. I'm really enjoying it so far.
yeah. I think I
Very
finished
nice.
in like a week. It was my off-stream game. Like, I would just relax and, like you said, like lean back and
It's
kind
my
of.
chill game. It's like whenever I
Yeah.
get pissed, I call it whatnot. Like, all right, let's Outer Worlds, boot it up, roam
Yeah.
around.
Whenever you get pissed at COD, like every time you play COD? What do you.
Every single time.
I should just say when I play COD. Yeah.
Right.
The only-
After
the only
I'm
time-
pissed at COD.
And not be mad is drinking. Like, you have like 4 or 5 beers in you, and you're just like, "Ah, let's get it. Let's have a good
There's a
time."
fine line because, like, I agree, but there's a point where you start playing too bad. So it's like, well, I'm getting mad because I'm playing bad because I'm too drunk because I was trying to.
Because I'm just
cool.
absolutely terrible right now, right?
If you're not mad, your whole team is more mad because now you're playing worse because you're drunk.
He's
Right.
had 20 beers. He's running around shooting the ground. Like, sorry, dude. It's just the game gets to me sometimes.
I have a buddy who I feel like is always, every time he gets on, he doesn't play very often. He's got, he's got a wife, a kids, and he's got his job's kind of demanding. And whenever he gets on, he's always like, "Hey, what's up?" And I'm like, "Hey, man, what's up?" And he's like, "I'm so drunk right now."
And you're like,
Fantastic.
okay,
This is
well,
gonna be fun.
All
This is
right,
gonna be real fun.
you're the host
There you
because
go.
in Warzone, that's the one thing I will say. We got a shocking dose of like reality last night. That, like, if you didn't know, the host for the Warzone lobbies matters so much
Big time.
because
Oh,
we
yeah.
played with a friend of mine last night who has maybe played three matches of Warzone ever, and the kids that we got matched, he was the host, and the kids that we got matched with, I don't think have ever touched a controller in there before. I'm like watching them run across the map, and I'm just like, what is
Yeah.
this person doing? And I'm just like, you're dead.
yeah, it's skill-based matchmaking, but the host, or basically the lowest player, typically the host will be the one that you're matched with for your score. Everyone else doesn't matter, so...
I never thought
So,
it was like.
hey, Noodles, you want to play some Warzone?
You guys want me to host? That's for sure.
I didn't think it actually existed. I thought it was kind of like a myth. Like maybe it did happen, maybe not. But yeah, last night.
Oh, it's real. Yeah.
I knew
yeah.
It was very low, and then
was real, and I just figured they took an aggregate of like, you know, they sort of took an aggregate
average
of the team. Yeah, they sort of somehow made a
strictly based off of one person, the host, and that's it.
Composite of the team, but it's pretty heavily determined by the host, which I thought was kind of crazy.
Yeah, it's
always easier on their end, you know.
Yeah,
they should just do away with that. Just
ranked.
Just put it with random people, or have a ranked playlist where your rank determines where you are. But if you're playing casual playlist, just randomized, completely randomized. Let the good people play with the like, because it's fair either way. Because obviously they're eventually going to get better, but just let it be random.
Well, I'm pretty sure before the season 4 update, I was playing that night because it released at like 2:00 in the morning Eastern time, and I jumped into I got a game at like 150-ish, and so but the 2 games before that as well, I think honestly in process of preparing their servers for an update, they turned it all off, because the last 2 games I played, I put up 20 kills in one game and 11 kills in another game, and that's like that was the first time I ever hit 20, and I was just frying kids. I was like, man, they must have turned off
what's going on here?
For the update. I was like, can you do this all the time, please? I was like, it was so much fun.
I want this to be my Call of Duty experience. Dang it.
Destiny just removed SBMM, you know, skill-based matchmaking from all their like core PvP, like that's not competitive, and people are like stoked on it because you can actually have like, you can use whatever you want, you can have a little bit of fun. You still might get stomped by somebody, but
I'm gonna say their excuse, like all the game manufacturers' excuse of like it improves player retention, I think is complete jack. Like
I don't.
I mean, you're gonna get some good players, you're gonna get some bad, like, but I feel like it all evens out in the end, in the wash. Like, you know, you're gonna play against people who are really, really good, and you're gonna have some people that are really bad. And it's just kind of a learning curve. It's just how it goes.
It's probably nice for like brand new players, right? Like, I'd say maybe they're the only ones that should maybe get their own lobby. Like, they've played less than 5 rounds. Okay, they get their own lobby, something like that, because you know. Or they play 2 hours a week, they can have that easy lobby. Because I can see those guys joining, and like you said with Fortnite, you know, they join in and like all of a sudden everybody's just crushing them. They're not having fun. They're not going to come back.
But that's like what made me stop playing Fortnite sometimes, is I would just run into people just build Taj Mahals in 2 seconds. Like, all right, I'm done. I'm leaving.
Yeah. You're in a box and they're shooting you in the top of the head, and you're like, how do I make a roof?
I give up. I'm done.
Like, wait, I thought they vaulted the Portafort, and this guy's massive.
He made his own. Yeah,
dude, don't worry. I made it from memory
in less time than it took you to actually throw the.
To just throw it down, have it.
It's still in the air, and they're like done. Okay, well, I suck.
Well, before we get too past the 90 minutes here.
I was gonna say the same thing. We normally kind of try to cut it off at about an hour and a half, so we're right about at that point. So why don't you guys go ahead and give us your little promotional spiel for WK Podcast, and we'll sign it all out from here.
Sure. I mean, you know, really the biggest thing, you know, we talk about kind of everything that's happening in gaming, and you know, I would say you can get the information really anywhere, but you know, the opinions are what you come for. So for me personally, I think I have a harder opinion on a lot of things than most people. So, you know, come for the info, stay for the opinions, I would say is a good way. You know, we like to give some hot takes, and we go off on a lot of tangents too. So it's always fun. You kind of know what you're going to get, but you might not.
And primarily gaming, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So where does everybody find you guys? I mean, I put in our chat here, but just, you know, from your mouths, where's the best place to find you, talk to you? I don't know, join your podcast, whatever.
Twitter, it's really the biggest one. So Twitter's at W_key_podcast. Same handle for Instagram. That's kind of where we put the most stuff, is Twitter and Instagram. We do have a Facebook page, WK Podcast. And then, we have a website too, which we do a little bit. I was doing more with, but quarantine's just kind of gotten me lackluster on my effort for like articles and stuff like that. So
where can they subscribe to you for weekly podcasts? Spotify,
everywhere.
Apple Podcasts. There's so many of them out there. iHeart,
Chaser, iHeartRadio, Stitcher, TuneIn,
All major.
Google, Pandora. We're on Pandora now too. Pretty much any podcast app that you have, more than likely you're going to find us on
There you
that
go.
app.
And
So
what day do you
WK
release?
Podcast?
Every other Wednesday.
Every other Wednesday. Cool.
Bi-weekly. We tried the weekly thing, but it's like it's not always enough to talk about every week. For us, it's kind of how we felt. So
It was getting kind of tough too because we were doing 2 jobs.
well, yeah. When it's
Quarantine,
not
we're not
quarantine
doing 2
time,
jobs.
both of us have 2 jobs. Matt streams too, so it's like between his 2 jobs, his streaming, and then trying to do the podcast, it got pretty
Tough to line
hectic.
up.
And
Speaking about for sure.
speaking of your streaming, just twitch.tv/technique, TECKNEEK. Yes.
That is where you'll find me. Yep.
Okay. Cool.
No real schedule. It's kind of tough with quarantine just because like I have a lot of kind of free time. So I just
Click those notifications on.
Yeah.
Notification bell on.
Check that bell so whenever I go live, you can come hang out.
Hey guys,
we
we really
will be-
appreciate you guys. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was gonna say we will be starting to live stream the show too.
Cool.
So, and you can find us on YouTube, WKey Podcast. Twitch is W_key_podcast. Pretty much the same as our Twitter handle. So, keep an eye out for that too. So,
Awesome.
Yeah, thank you guys for coming on and being the guinea pigs to our first guest stream. It was a great conversation. We'll have you
Appreciate it.
again
Thanks for having
sometime.
us.
This was great.
yeah, I always
We'll have to
enjoy
line
talking.
you guys up for hours too.
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly. Yeah, I enjoy
Sounds
talking
good.
to other gamers because I don't have too many of those in close proximity currently. So it's always
Too
nice to
many that
talk
are
to.
like in depth as we are. Like they
Yeah.
play games, but they don't really care too much about it. It's nice
Okay.
to talk to other people who got nice passion for it.
And it sounds like
Yeah.
we'll have to play some Warzone together too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'll be
Yeah.
the host. You tell me what.
So, yeah, we'll have him host, so we just roll.
Anytime. like right now, like you.
He's like,
10
let's
minutes,
do it. Everyone in chat,
everybody.
stick around for. We are going to pick someone to raid, so that might take a couple minutes. But Justin, any last words?
Nope, that's all. We'll be here next week. Just me and Darth. We'll probably not do 2 guest episodes ever twice in a row. So catch us next week, same time.
Thanks, guys. Good night.
Thanks.